It's time to listen. It's time to learn. It's time for another ear-training episode of Music Student 101. Explore secondary dominance with your hosts, Jeremy Burns and Matthew Scott Phillips.
Welcome back, everybody, to Music Student 101.
Welcome back.
Hey, Matt, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good, Jeremy. How are you?
I'm good, man. I had a kind of crazy experience a week ago, actually.
Oh, yeah?
The day I released the last episode. I was also driving furiously to a place called Northport, which is about, an hour and a half drive from Birmingham.
Yep.
And we were working on a shoot that involved nothing but the 15 minutes between nighttime and sunrise,
Oh, okay.
or right when the sun starts to come up, you can barely see the blue hues making out things. And there's a couple talking on the pier and having kind of a discussion. I won't say too much about it.
Okay.
But my friend Henry Busby is the director, and it's a cool little story and a cool little thing. Now, the thing is, there's no music on this. He doesn't intend for there to be any kind of music. And instead, well, dig this. Instead, the backdrop is all going to be natural sounds, the cricket bed, and he's going to use those in different ways.
Oh, well, that's music.
That is music. And you know what? I was out there in the morning kind of recording this, and I realized as I was listening to all these thousands and millions of crickets, I was like, it really kind of blew my mind to think about all the frequencies flying around in the air.
Oh, yeah.
Clashing and harmonizing. And it was
yeah.
a crazy, mind-blowing kind of experience. Have you ever made any music compositions that used natural or practical sounds?
As a matter of fact, yes.
Yeah?
I have done a couple of electronic compositions in my time, and based on this school that I was a part of, was sort of a part of the what we call the musique concrète tradition, and this tradition was the taking and recording and sampling of natural sounds, and then taking them back to the studio and manipulating them to create interesting sort of sound installations.
Completely original sounds.
Yeah. I like to think of these sort of as, if traditional music is sort of a kind of oral theater or oral storytelling, this is kind of an oral sculpture kind of. But at any rate, so yeah, I did some things like I took a couple of percussion instruments, some gourds and some mallets and some things, and recorded all of those and sort of manipulated them, and did that with a thing called a monochord, which is just designed to sort of show you the Pythagorean overtone series. And yeah, did some stuff like that. I did one with human voices at one point where they were all had three people record the same poem. Huh. And then use their own voices as sort of sound materials to create the poem with, and so yeah, I've done some stuff like that.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. I just think it's kind of a bold move to try and make a movie with no music whatsoever. But if you're gonna do it, that's a great way to do it.
Yeah, it's bold, but all good artists are bold, right? Yeah.
Indeed, and I'm not going to spoil the storyline, but I tell you what, it works. I think it's really good.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'll keep y'all posted.
Yeah, nice.
Now, do you remember last episode that we did? We got a letter from, or was it actually a review of this person, Lucy from.
I remember Lucy. Yeah.
From North London-ish.
Yeah.
Who said that she enjoyed when she beat me on the harmonic dictation episodes.
And we enjoy it when Lucy beats Jeremy on harmonic dictation episodes.
Oh yeah. But it got me kind of jazzed and electrified. I was like, you know what? I need to get back on this, and we need to get back on this, Matt.
We're inspired. Yeah, we have kind of let this go for a little while. So,
but there's a perfectly good reason actually, because we had a lot of theory to cover before we took on these next few training things.
Yeah, and the harmonic progression stuff usually that lags a little behind theory. So you kind of the idea, at least in academic music instruction, is that you learn conceptually what something is, and then in sort of the quasi-laboratory-like session that is an ear training class, you are sort of discovering what those things sound like.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we've got a little bit of theory under our belts again now, so maybe time to revisit.
And here's another funny thing I did. I did a lot of traveling these past 2 days, actually, and I decided I was going to go back and listen to our podcast again and see if it would boost my experience points a little bit. Unfortunately, I only got to the first harmonic dictation episode.
Oh, that was the easy one too.
It was.
That was just the 1, 4, 5.
It didn't do me much good, really. But I'm going to keep on listening, actually, and we recommend that our listeners do the same thing. We've had some people write in and say that they were able to binge listen to it and get it all within a week or so.
Yeah,
Subconsciously, you got it. It's all in there.
Yeah.
But you might consider going back and reviewing just to galvanize it.
Yeah, well, the harmonic progression episodes especially are sort of designed to practice. You know, these things take practice. You know, you're never going to just hear a couple of chord progressions and go, okay, I got that. You know, it's a practice makes perfect kind of thing.
And this being an ear training episode, it's also fortunate that we're going to give you guys a little break on theory because we just covered those secondary 7th chords, man.
We've been hitting the theory pretty hard.
And it was some cool stuff, but I imagine you guys want a little break and just kind of use your ears.
Always nice to get a little bit of a break.
Indeed.
Yeah.
That doesn't require us actually not doing the show, because we can take a long break if we want to.
I mean, you could just, you could just pause the podcast and take a break, I suppose. But
And then future Jeremy would fix that in editing, of course. Well, that was, again, this is one example where I was inspired by my reviews. Our reviews. So, Lucy, thank you for that. This episode is for you.
You make him a better musician, Lucy.
Seriously.
You really do. Speaking
of reviews, we have, on iTunes, I saw a new one called a person named Lug. L-U-G-H-H. L-U-G-H-H-H.
Yeah.
From the States, from the mainland here. Lug says, I can't believe there isn't more people on your show. I wonder if that means more guests or more people listening, if Lug found a way to get into our stats.
I don't know. I can't believe it. Only 2 people do this. Which
I like to think that.
Yeah. Which thank you. We can't believe it.
Well, given this is a 5-star review, I'm going to take it as a compliment.
Yeah, I'm going to take it as a compliment too. Thank you, Lug.
Lug says, I love the way you 2 present your content. It's entertaining, deeply informative, and there's always something new to learn. I've listened to the first couple of shows multiple times already.
Good job. Good job.
Already, and trying to keep up with all the knowledge you share. Thank you so much, Jeremy Burns and Matthew Scott Phillips.
Oh, thank you, Lug.
Thank you, Lug.
It's always good to hear. And yes, I do totally approve of listening to shows more than once. The first couple of ones, listen to the first couple of them, feel really, really good about it. Listen to a couple more, episodes 3, 4, and 5, till you feel real good about those. That's a great way to sort of, learn at your own pace. It's not a race.
No. Hey, that's how I actually was able to learn some pretty decent Spanish. I got a Spanish-speaking podcast, and I would just listen to it.
Yeah.
And I would listen to it before I go to sleep, and it's a win-win situation, because either I finally fall asleep and get some good hard-earned Z's, or my brain is learning Spanish. Or whatever else
I like to turn over to the Spanish TV channel sometimes and just sort of like concentrate. And it's a great experience, because when I first start listening, I understand nothing, and then as I'm concentrating more, I'll understand a word every now and then, and that becomes like a phrase every now and then. If I ever kept up with it at any consistency, my Spanish would probably get good. But
you're going with the submersion tactics.
Yeah, submersion tactics,
not too bad.
Well,
Now, moving on. Oh, thanks again, Lug.
Thanks again, Lug, for your review and for the kind words. We will endeavor to live up to your standards. We also have a new PayPal donation.
Yes, sir.
And this is from Pablo from San Francisco. Pablo says, I found your podcast by looking at the Spotify recommendations. I am not a pro musician, but play the violin for fun with some friends. That's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. We love that. Lately, I have been looking to extend my limited knowledge, and I find your podcast very clear and approachable for people with some music knowledge. I find my ears are much better tuned, and I'm able to enjoy and understand a music piece much better when I sit and listen.
Cool.
Me too.
Yeah, likewise.
Me too. Keep up the good work. You guys are inspiring a big range of people, not just prospective music majors. Best, Pablo. Thank you so much, Pablo.
That's my favorite part of the whole letter, the very last
Not just
line.
music majors, or not just prospective music majors, yeah.
Because after the first, like I said, I went back and listened to a lot of the episodes.
Yeah.
And, oh man, by the way, we were so stiff the first few episodes.
We were so stiff. Oh gosh, yeah, it's hard to listen to.
I used to edit out every and every so and everything.
So yeah, well, and I used to try to be not saying those.
Right, exactly.
I was basically just giving music lectures into a microphone.
And then the papers,
Yeah.
We only have one paper today, of course. So that'll be good.
The show notes here. Well, and in the beginning, it's so funny, and I've mentioned this before, but in the beginning, like, sort of our idea was to be making a podcast to sort of augment a music major's education in a college, but it's branched out so far beyond that. I mean, we've had so many listeners now that are enthusiasts and like to play for fun, like Pablo and things like that. And it's been very pleasant and rewarding to see not just music majors, but a lot of people out there who are interested in being better musicians. And, that encourages us, and we sort of, we've done our best to embrace that, and be a podcast for music lovers, not just music students.
Absolutely.
Maybe we should change the name.
Oh boy, branding.
Not now.
No, man. But we want to thank Pablo for actually acknowledging that and catching that. So that's really cool, man.
Thank you very much, Pablo.
And speaking of donors, now PayPal is one way you can do it if you just want to give us a one-time donation.
Absolutely.
But there's also Patreon. We got patreon.com/musicstudent101, and you can get on there and give us like $1 a week if you want to, or whatever you think this is worth to you.
Yep.
And there's some perks actually, because if you get onto our Patreon site, you'll see that there's some a video or two, and some pre-recorded things that we did special for the Patreon listeners.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So it's kind of getting to know us better, getting to know some of our musicians better.
Some behind-the-scenes stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, and we need to do more of that too.
Absolutely, more is coming, so y'all stay tuned. Now, this Patreon patron is a gentleman named James Church. James Church is based outside a town called Cooma in New South Wales, Australia.
Welcome, James.
A lot of listeners from Australia.
Yeah. Well, it's a big place, I suppose.
It is. Now, James, his main instrument is the square neck dobro, which I love the sound of. He plays in a folk band called Montgomery Church.
Oh, very nice. Which is fun because that is actually the name of the capital city of our state here in the States.
In fact, we both spent some time in Montgomery. I lived in Montgomery until I was 10 years old, and that was the first time I went to church. And you spent some time in Montgomery.
I lived in Montgomery for a couple of years myself, yeah.
So, I tell you what, here's something we haven't done, Matt. Let's give it a listen. So here we go, from the album In the Shadow of the Mountain. This is called Hot as Hell in Heaven. It's the opening track of this debut album of theirs.
Nice.
This is James Church on the dobro guitar. His musical partner, C.L. Montgomery, playing the guitar. And she's about to take the lead vocal.
There's people building mountains out of molehills. They're setting them in stone.
Nice, smooth voice.
These bones that you've been picking, oh, they better left alone. Well, how'd you get so short?
Great, rich sound.
And why you
well produced.
act so
Well produced.
tall? You're spending large. You should be living small.
Stand by for James Church on the harmony, baby.
Well, it's hard to find a friend after doing 5 to 10, and I'm not sure just where I'm headed. It's a slow burning there's hell in heaven.
And this song's just about to get really good, but you guys should go to Spotify and listen to it.
Yeah, definitely check that out. I love that. There's such a beautiful simplicity of that.
Yeah.
It's very trance-like. Very, very heartfelt.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that.
And the kind of sounds that I really love, those just raw acoustic sounds and very well produced. And they have some videos you should check out too. Well, James, I hope you enjoyed this little promo that we actually, hey, there's
publicity.
There's a Patreon perk. But no, seriously, because last episode we said, hey, send us your music. We'll listen
Absolutely,
to it.
yeah.
We did.
And I love that. Yeah, we love hearing what you guys are doing out there.
Yeah, James also plays in an experimental trio called String Theories, which is kind of an Edgar Meyer style, I guess.
Yeah.
As he was saying. But anyways, he actually wrote in and said that our discussions on counterpoint and constructing a melody, particularly things like stepwise movement, staying in one voice, and limiting the zeniths and low points and pitch, are helping shape the way I think about solos and writing.
Oh, that's great.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, yeah. So that counterpoint is worth something after all.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
Okay, so that
was like the one section of things we were like, are people going to care?
This is where we're going to lose them.
Yeah, right.
Now, James actually has a question.
Okay.
And this is also great, too. We encourage you to send us your music theory questions. And it just so happens, this question is fantastic for 2 reasons.
Okay.
One, it is actually pertinent to our discussion today.
Okay.
On harmonic progression.
Okay.
2,
awesome.
I think you mentioned when you were answering him in your email that this actually was some of the subject matter of one of your dissertations or your dissertation.
My one dissertation, yeah.
Your one dissertation. You don't do too many of those, do you? Takes a lot to
You only need one for a degree.
Stick those together. Now, here's this question. Matt, do you want to take the question?
I will take the question. Let's see. I was wondering about secondary dominant chords in a progression and whether they can inform the way you frame your melodic solo options. For instance, when a 5/5 chord comes along, it seems like you can use the major scale of the original key's 5 chord to solo over the secondary dominant. E.g., in the key of G, use the D major scale to solo over the A major chord. Mm-hmm. Would this work over all secondary dominants? The answer is yes, depending on how loosely you want to define work and depending on how you how carefully you think about exactly the tone. So, the example he gives with this using basically using the scale of the 5 over the scale of over the chord of the 5/5.
Yes.
Yeah. This is actually going to work pretty well. So, he gives the example as if we're in G major, for example. So let's be in G major. So we're in good old G major.
Nice.
Yeah. And we're going to go from G and we're going to go to 5. And from that 5,
it's a D chord.
It's a D chord, right? 5. And then if we're in the A chord, could you solo in the D major scale over that 5 chord, sort of. And yeah, you kind of can, right?
Yeah.
That'd be kind of back. Let's be sort of in the same octave here. Yeah, and you could do that, yeah. And you're basically just sort of a 5 off, right? Okay. So then, if you wanted to keep that going, we could go from this A major chord, and then when our harmony went back to the 5, D, then we can be soloing 1 ahead in sort of the G major chord scale. And then, sorry. Got all confused, but yeah. So that idea kind of works, and it sounds kind of it has the effect of, and this is why Jeremy mentioned my dissertation, much to my chagrin, is because I do talk about this kind of stuff in my dissertation a little bit. It kind of has the effect of making your solo sound as a thing a little bit apart from your chords. You know, not super far apart from your chords, but a little bit far apart from your chords. Because between D major and A major, we have one sharp difference.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So we're playing the same notes, except for when you get to the G chord. Whereas in an A major scale, that would be a G sharp, and in a D major scale, that would be a G natural. But if you're just playing an A major chord, it's not likely to have a G sharp in it, right? That'd be an A major 7. Exactly. That's not something that happens as frequently as some other things. So it's probably not there anyway. So you're just sort of playing a G natural there, and that makes it a D major scale. And yeah, that basically works.
Yeah.
For other secondary dominants, such as 5 of 2, and then you solo over the 2 scale or something, you're going to have different accidentals.
Yeah, and more of them, right?
More of them. You're going to have more of those sort of discrepancies, and there are going to be other places where they come into play more noticeably because they're going to be the accidentals that are in your actual chord. And so you really are going to be playing like an F sharp in your solo and an F natural in your chord and things. And that is going to make it sound even further removed.
Yeah.
So...
And work less, and work, quote-unquote, less, therefore.
Yeah. So,
based on what our ears have been trained to appreciate and enjoy.
Right, yeah. So, like, if I'm in...
nature versus nurture? I don't know.
Definitely nature versus nurture.
Okay.
Definitely. And this is a nurture thing.
Okay.
But like if we're in G, and we go to 5, we're in G, and we were to go to a 2 chord, which is going to sound like that. And then from that 2 chord, this is 5 of 2, and I'm going to try to solo in diatonic 2, right? I've got a discrepancy between G natural and G sharp here.
Yep.
Because I think, yeah, definitely, because
it's a 3 sharp difference.
Yeah, right? yeah, exactly. So to be in
3 accidentals.
Yeah.
Different.
So it's going to make it sound even more sort of removed from your actual from your actual harmony. It's going to make it sound even further removed from that actual harmony, right? Which is not on its surface bad. I mean, there can be reasons you want it to sound removed, right? I mean, if you're thinking of your solo as like a character in a story, or something, and you want to highlight this character, by having him sort of set out, and so you're not just playing music now and talking about a story, you're actually reflecting a story and stuff like that. There's a reason you can do that. Just be cognizant of what you want to say artistically, and asking yourself, to what extent does this match what I want to say artistically? And then it can, sort of air quotations, it can work for anything.
Yeah.
I mean, there are composers who flat out are going in 2 keys at once.
Well, I was going to say that this almost had hints of polytonality to it.
Yes.
By the time you're playing an A minor chord and you're playing an A major scale over it, there is a very balanced or unstable.
There's a stratified feel, right? Yeah. So that was bad. Let's space those octaves out a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's G major and A major. So that's an interesting sound.
Yeah.
Those are just 2 spots away from each other on the circle of fifths. So we're talking about a 2 accidental difference. And even then, you're starting to hear some pretty significant dissonance if I just do that.
Yeah, that's.
But listen to that enough. And your ears start to get used to it a little bit. You know? Versus, if I did A major and D major.
That's even cooler.
Yeah, that's actually not.
It's not too far removed, though.
Yeah, it's not too. It's only one accidental difference, and that accidental is probably not in either one of these chords. So, so really, you're just talking about what we call subsets of the collection. Could even be in G major again up here. Yeah, you can make some really cool sounds that way, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So yeah, very good question.
Thank you, James Church.
James, very good question. Very awesome. And my answer is mostly yes. Mostly that works.
Mostly yes. Short, long story short.
Yeah, the TLDR version is yes, that mostly works. Just be cognizant of what you're trying to say artistically.
Here, I have a confession, Matt.
Yes.
I know what
you didn't understand any of that.
I know what you mean when you say. I know what you mean when you say TLDR, based on the context of when you use it.
Too long didn't read.
Too long didn't read. Okay, that is awesome.
It's an internet thing because everybody knows I'm the most hip with the cool young kids lingo is anybody.
Me too, with my cargo pants.
Yeah, with my cargo pants and my I say dude a lot and yeah. Want to rap with you guys for a second, so take a chill.
Take a chill. Oh, Lord. Let's move on, shall we?
Let's move on. Thank you so much, James. I love talking about my dissertation.
And we love hearing your stories, people. And working your dissertation into the stories.
And working my dissertation into all facets of life, absolutely.
Now, today, we are going to talk about secondary dominance in ear training, and we're going to focus on the 5/5 chord.
Yes.
And the 5/2 chord.
And the 5/2 chord, yes.
But before we do that, obviously, you need to hear these episodes first.
Yes, definitely understand what those two things are. So if you want to go back and listen to episode...
Let me just get on this library here. Once I get on it. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. Boom, boom. Nice. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna talk about each episode just a little bit and play the chords involved. Just to give them a little, ramp them up to where we are right now.
Okay.
Well, episode 16 was an episode on diatonic chords.
Okay.
And though that wasn't really an ear training episode, that's where the knowledge is on where we're calling a 1 chord, a 2 chord, a 3 chord, so forth and so on. Definitely worth listening to. Episode 18, we got into harmonic progression part 1.
Okay.
And that was actually a pretty heavy one. We talked about the 1 chord, the 2 chord,
the 2 chord,
the 4 chord,
and
of course the 5 chord.
The 5 chord.
So can we play a few of those real quick and just see how they fit together?
Absolutely. So James has me all in G major now, so we'll be in G major.
Great.
So our 1 chord is, of course, our G major chord, our chord of finality, our chord of rest. When we come back and land back on the G chord in G major, the 1 chord, the tonic chord, we feel like we have reached a point of repose.
Yeah.
And quite possibly even the end of the whole song.
Possibly.
So there is that. The chord that most consistently leads to the 1 chord, its whole personality and its whole role in music is to sort of pull into that 1 chord, is the chord that is a perfect fifth away, the 5 chord, which is based on the fifth, whose root is the 5th note of that major scale, G major in this case. So G is the first note, A is the second note, B, C, D is the 5th note of that scale. So our 5 chord is a D major chord. This is G, and this is D major. And this is our 5. And as you can probably already hear, that chord has a real strong pull, and it wants to pull back to this one.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
We have the tonic.
Tonic, dominant, the 5 chord. And that wants to pull back to and land there.
Back to 1. Back to the tonic.
Both the 2 chord and the 4 chord have the qualities of wanting to pull into that dominant chord, into that scale degree 5 chord.
Yes.
So if I'm in G and I play a 4 chord, and that would be a C major chord, right?
Yep.
C is the 4th note of the G major scale. That chord has a feeling of wanting to pull into this 5 chord, which is then going to pull to 1. And that was actually 5/7, yes.
I was going to ask about that.
Lucy, be proud of Jeremy. He actually did totally hear that was a 5/7 I played.
Because, just so you know, and that was cool that I did that. But this episode, we don't even bring the 7 chords in just yet.
Okay.
But that's okay.
But
that's okay.
Yeah, keep Jeremy. We have to keep Jeremy on his toes.
Lucy, how you like me now?
So, but yeah, so 1, 4, and then 4 wants to pull to 5/7, or just 5 this time.
I caught that too. Yes.
1.
So the 4 has what is said to be a predominant function.
A predominant function, meaning that it is pulling towards the dominant. And then the dominant, the 5 chord is said to have a dominant function, meaning it is pulling towards the 1 chord. Right? So we pull towards the 5, which then pulls towards the 1. And this is kind of how music works.
And if you listen to the diatonic chords episode, you know that in the major key, 1, 4, and 5 are all major chords.
They're all major chords.
So we haven't heard any minorness yet.
Nope. Until we get to the 2 chord.
Until we get to the 2 chord.
The 2 chord, like the 4 chord, also wants to pull to the dominant. So the 2 chord is also said to have a predominant function, and is often thought of as a substitute for the 4 chord.
Yes.
Because they both want to pull to that dominant. You can use a 2 instead of a 4, or a 4 instead of a 2.
Okay.
So if I'm in the good old G major here, and then I play a 2 chord, which would be an A minor chord, right? Let's see. What's a good way to do this? Yeah. And then minor chord, right? This is actually a 2 chord in first inversion, right? And this is going to pull to 5. And that is going to pull to 1.
Very nice.
Yes.
And that first inversion seems to make it kind of easy to go to the 5. It seems like that bass note in the first inversion 2 chord is actually the 4.
It's actually the 4th scale degree, yeah.
So,
same as the root note in the 4 chord, right? So you're just changing some other notes to make it 2.
Let's hear the difference. Let's hear 1, 4, 5, and all in root position.
All right, I'll try
1, 4, 5, 1.
Keep my fingerings consistent this time. So 1, 4, major chord, 5, 1. And then 1, 2, 6. 2 in first inversion. 5 chord.
5 in the bass.
1 chord, yeah.
1.
Yeah, there you go. Dropped an octave, but yeah.
Great, man.
Yeah. 1, 4, 5, 1. 1, first inversion 2, 5, 1. Most basic chord progressions there are.
Most basic. Now, episode, let's see here. Stand by while I flip through my phone because I don't know my own show.
There's too many now. We have too many episodes.
This is episode 56, 55.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so episode 31 was Harmonic Progression Part 2.
Uh-huh.
And we kind of kept the same chords, only we added the 7, the 7th scale degree, or the 7th chord member, right?
Yeah, we started adding 7 chords.
2/7 and 5/7.
2/7 and 5/7. So when we're in G and we go to D major, we now have the option of having that being a D minor 7 chord. Which is called a 5/7 chord, which has an even stronger pull towards the tonic there, right? Because the 7 is pulling, which is the 4th scale degree again, is pulling down to 3.
Yep. 7th of the chord, 4th scale degree.
4th scale degree, yeah, is pulling down to the 3rd of the tonic chord, which is also the 3rd scale degree, right? And at the same time that this F sharp of our D major chord is pulling up to tonic. That's
Thank you very much. That feels a lot better.
yeah.
Thank you. Some people it drives them crazy not to hear a chord resolved.
Yeah. It can be sort of torturous.
Maybe we'll talk about that in future episodes.
Maybe we will.
Okay, dig this. Okay, I mean, actually, can we hear a 1 2 2 7?
Oh, sure, yeah, and we just also same principle with the 2/7. So we have wanting to move to the 3rd of the 5 this time. Go back to 1.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yep. And I heard that there's a bit more of richness, in my opinion, to that 2/7 chord.
Yeah, a little more color, a little more richness to it. Yeah, 7ths are good like that.
But it only has the 1 tendency tone in that?
No, it has 2.
2. Okay.
Yeah, it has the 7th of that chord, which is going to want to move down to 4. Right? And it has the well, it's not a great tendency tone, but the 3rd of that chord, which is going to want to move up to 5, right? And then the next thing... No, I'm just
You devil. Thank you. You resolved it. That's hilarious. Okay. So there you go. That's part 2. Don't you think that's good?
That's pretty good, yeah.
Is there anything you would add to that before we move on?
Nope, we're doing pretty good.
Okay. So, harmonic progression part 3, which is episode 39. We spaced these out pretty well.
We did. I don't think Jeremy likes them.
No. Oh, that's right. Yeah, I'm the guy that puts these together. This one was all about the 7 chord. And if you actually look on our podcast notes when you see it, it's a capital 7, like a capital Roman numeral. But I just mean 7 in general.
Okay, so capital 7, meaning...
Just 7.
Just 7.
So, in the key of major...
Yeah, in a major key.
We still in G?
We can still be in G.
Sure.
That's the key for today.
The people's key. That's what they call it in bluegrass, I think. Or C, the people's key. I don't know.
So in G major, we're talking about an F sharp diminished chord. Right? Which is like the 5, a chord of dominant function, meaning it wants to pull back to this G. Except without the parallel octaves, if you can if you can manage it.
No one is judging your counterpoint here today.
Off the top of my head, people.
Not a counterpoint episode.
Cut me some slack. So, but yeah, so the 7 chord, another option. A 7 chord like F sharp diminished is really just a dominant chord without the scale degree 5, right? It's actually just a 5/7 chord. It just doesn't have scale degree 5 in it. So it's going to have the same function. It's going to want to pull to that tonic.
Hey, you know what? Shame on us, Matt, because we've been kind of neglecting that minor scale, that minor.
We kind of have.
Minor keys, haven't we?
I've been in a G major mood, but if we were in E minor, it depends on what minor you're talking about, because we have harmonic minor, which that would be the same thing as a major scale. Melodic minor, also the same. It would have the same, that half step below tonic diminished chord thing as the major scale. In natural minor, you kind of have this. You kind of have this major 7 that is a whole step away, right? And it can be thought of as pulling towards the 1.
Yeah.
But as you can hopefully hear, maybe not as strongly, not as frantically, not as much, oh, will you please go back to 1, kind of,
I mean, I still want to hear it.
I still want to hear it.
There we go.
Because it's a whole step away in that particular instance, it's a little weaker, that 7 to 1. Now, it's used in all kinds of folk music, all around the world, totally, and used in Renaissance music a lot, and medieval music and things where they was primarily focused on modes and not the major minor scales that we have now. But in classical music theory parlay, that's considered a weaker pull than what would be, for example, D sharp diminished. Well, that's a really strong pull, right?
Absolutely.
You can't not resolve that, right?
Yeah.
So then part 4.
Hey. There we go. Okay, so moving on to part 4. And again, the reason I brought up minor for this particular one is because it's the kind of one case where it's not the one case, but it's where a 7 chord is considered such a tendency chord in minor key. Not so much, but still it has a good resolution. So it was worth listening to, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's people have made the argument, and by people I mean me, that there are musical contexts in which the 7, the major natural 7 of a minor key does serve a dominant function. That it does also pull to 1, and it is used as such. But that's just me. We've already talked about my dissertation.
You're just gonna sneak it in anywhere you can, aren't you?
That wasn't my dissertation. That was a different thing.
No. Finally, we have harmonic progression part 4. In which we finally tackle these mediant chords.
The mediant chords being the 3.
The mediant.
So if we want to be back in G major, and apparently I do, the mediant chord, B minor in this case, and then the 6th chord, which would be E minor in this case.
Submediant.
Yeah, the submediant, because it's a third below the tonic, whereas the median is a third above.
Hey, nice. So in a major key, you're going to recognize if you hear a minor chord, well, it could be a 2.
It could possibly be a 2.
But it could also be a 3 and a 6, because in a major key, those are minor chords, as we just heard, right?
Yes.
Let's hear what happens in a minor key.
In a minor key, an E minor.
The bassist's key.
The bassist's key, yeah. We like this key.
We do, unless I have a low B bass.
So in E minor, 3 is actually going to be major.
How it lifts.
Yeah, how it lifts. 6 also is going to be major. And we'll probably want to pull to 2. Right? And then that 2 we'll want to pull to 5. Yeah, there we go. And then 1.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah. So 3 and 6 are thought of as substitutes of 1. Not really so much as having tonic function, really.
Yeah.
But there's this thing called a deceptive cadence where right? Where I went to a 6 chord instead of a 1 chord.
Yeah.
Right? And it's called deceptive because it deceived you. You thought you were going to get that 1 chord and you ended up with a 6, and now you can continue having chord progressions.
Yeah, so it's like the 6 wants to go to a predominant chord. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Kind of,
yeah.
None of these rules are hard and fast, so to speak.
Especially when you get into 3 and 6s. The 2 and 4 being predominant chords, that's fairly hard and fast. 5 and 7 being dominant chords, that's pretty hard and fast. You get into 3 and 6. Yeah.
Well, the 3 chord and the 6 chord both have 2 common tones
with the 1 chord.
With the 1
absolutely.
chord.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So it's like it's the same chord, you just changing clothes.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah.
Dressing up for the evening.
Yeah, sort of just different colorations, and that's why they can be used as substitutes for the 1 chord fairly effectively. And like I said, not necessarily having tonic function. Tonic function means you feel that sense of rest and finality, and I wouldn't go that far. I would more say. Sort of just substitutes for 1.
Hey, can we hear that in a major key? Can we hear that a deceptive cadence? And
Sure. So major key, G major, 1, and then 5, and you think you're going to get another 1, but instead you get 6. And then that 6, like I said, now we have to sort of carry on our chord progression. We haven't reached finality yet, right? So we then have to do. We then have to do 2, so... Crap. Okay, yeah, we then have to do 2. It's actually 2, 6, 4, that was neat. And then 5, and then 1.
And about an hour in, that brings us to today's topic.
Wow.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, so... Coming into part 5.
Yes. So what are we talking? What's the difference? This is the big difference, actually.
This is
compared
kind of
to what we've been talking about.
This is kind of a big difference because now we are moving out of the diatonic chords, meaning the chords that we built using the notes of the major scale. When we talked about 3 in a major key is minor and 6 is minor in a major key, that. The reason for that is because we're just using those 7 notes at the major scale. So, if we try to make an E chord using those 7 notes, what we have is E minor at our, that's what we can get. We are now dipping into chromaticism, which is actually borrowing notes outside of the scale. And saying, well, I want to have a G sharp. I don't care if it's in the key of G, and I'm going to make that E a major chord. So, what is that going to do harmonic progression-wise?
I think it's going to add a little bit of color, hence the word chroma.
It's the word chroma, which we have mentioned before. Yes, it is going to add some color. It is going to add some depth. It is going to add some
richness
and to the sound of the chord. And it's going to create something we've also talked about before, which is secondary dominance.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're going to have these chords with these chromatic embellishments that are themselves serving a type of dominant function, but instead of pulling towards our overall tonic, it's going to pull towards one of these diatonic chords. Like, for example, 5 of 5.
As we discussed earlier.
As we discussed earlier, yeah. So I'll just do a little chord progression here. I'll go 1, and I'll go 5, and then I'll just do 6 just for fun. And then instead of that 2 of 2 like I played last time, I'm going to play 5, 7 of 5, which itself pulls to 5, which itself pulls to 1.
Nice.
And you heard that richness there was in that, right?
Yeah, and it's like a it's still kind of a simple progression. If you, like we talked about zooming out and looking at it, it's still a very simple 1-5-1 kind of progression.
Yeah.
More or less. But all these little kind of things you're putting in there are acting as, how would you put it? Like elaborations?
Embellishments, coloring the harmonic thickness. There's a school of music theory that its basic tenet professes that everything is a 1-5-1 progression if you zoom out far enough. Right? Yeah, we've kind of hinted at that before.
Stand by for that one.
Maybe one day you'll actually get me to talk about it. Who knows? But yeah. So yeah, you're right. Chord progression wise, melody note and bass note progression wise, we're still keeping it fairly simple, but we are bringing in notes from outside the scale to make it sound deeper and thicker and have a different kind of more lush sound, more romantic sound.
So now, after having listened to part 1, 2, 3, and 4 of harmonic progression, I feel like I'm familiar enough with the diatonic chords to where if I hear something, I think I'm going to know. I don't want to speak too soon.
Okay.
But I think I'm going to know when I hear a chord that is a little more alien to the scale.
It's a little more crunchy or a little more squishy.
Yeah.
Or something, right? Yeah. And then it'll be time to engage your theory brain and think, well, what non-diatonic chord might I be listening to?
And I'm looking greatly forward to that.
All right.
And as you guys know, we covered the theory on secondary dominance quite well.
Yeah, we covered it.
We covered it, yeah, okay.
Without a qualitative assessment.
You can always cover things more, granted. But with the time we had, and with the attention spans we want to keep.
And the fact that, we were probably late for a beer or something.
That sometimes weighs in. Sometimes that weighs in. But no, I think that I'll be able to maybe catch this. I'm rooting for myself.
All right, we're rooting for Jeremy here.
But before we start the exercises, we should probably listen to a 5 of 2.
We should probably listen to a 5 of 2 real quick. Same situation. It's just going to be a dominant that pulls towards that 2. Right? So I'm going to do a little chord progression here again. And I'll go 1, and I'll go to 5, and our little deceptive motion we'll do to a 6, but this time instead of just that 6, I'm going to make that 6 into a 5 of 2.
Ooh. Ah.
And from that 5 of 2, I'm going to go to our 2 chord, which then itself is going to go to 5 and to 1. So I'll do that again a little quicker. So 1, 5, 5 of 2, to 2, to 5, to 1.
And was that a 5/7 of 2? Just out of
it was a 5/7 of 2.
Okay, cool. All right, I'm feeling better about this, man.
All right, yeah, that was a 5/7 of 2. I thought that would have a nice little pull to it.
It did. It did.
Yeah. Notice I went to 5 of 2 instead of 6. Because that 6 is basically a 5 of 2. 6 would have been E minor. When I made that E minor, E major, what I'm doing is 5 of 2. E major is going to pull to A minor, which is 2.
And that was the point where my ears perked up.
Yeah.
Lucy, did your ears perk up?
We should have Lucy on, and I'll do the exercises, and then she can grade you on that. This will be great.
Oh man, we got a new friend here. It's so fun. We love our people. We really do.
We really do.
Okay.
All right.
Now okay. So shall we do this? Shall we get into this? Is
let's get into
that
this.
You want to say, theory wise, because we covered theory, right?
We covered theory. Remember, listen to the bass.
Okay. Yeah, we should. Yeah. The 4 steps or whatever.
Yeah. Listen to the bass.
First off.
Okay. Listen to the melody.
Yeah.
Start engaging your theory brain. Yeah. And then, when you've got an idea of some possibilities for what these chords could be, then start listening for levels of crunchiness, levels of dissonance.
Yeah. Bass, then melody, which will be the soprano voice, right? If we're calling it
right.
SATB or
whatever. Bass voice, soprano voice. Yeah.
And then theory brain. Okay, and then theory brain.
And then theory brain.
And then kind of confirmation.
And confirmation / analysis / confirmation. Yeah.
Okay, because now I'm kind of worried about these middle voices now. I'm going to try and use proper counterpoint to figure them out, but I am kind of worried about that. I'm not going to lie.
Some colleges, their ear training programs will necessitate you eventually getting to the point where you can dictate the inner voices. Others don't.
Yeah.
Some make you dictate only the chords. Some make you dictate only the soprano and bass lines, and then notate the chords. Others make you dictate the whole thing. It depends on how stringent your school is. But if you have to then worry about the middle voices, that comes after. That would be step 5.
Yeah.
Start plotting out those middle voices.
Okay, and I remember our university actually made us fill out the middle voices, if memory serves.
Oh, yeah?
Or at least my teacher did.
Yeah, I don't even remember what my teacher made me do.
However, they did not take it as far, I think, as we're taking it today.
Yeah. So, yes. If you're filling out middle voices, when you get to this point, that becomes really complicated. It's one thing to fill out the middle voices of diatonic chords. It's another thing to start filling out, 7 chords and secondary dominants and.
Okay, I'm starting to get scared again.
Okay, don't. Let's just start doing this.
Should we just start doing it?
Okay. I'm starting to feel like Jeremy is stalling.
So I'm gonna. I do that. Okay. I got my paper. I got my staff paper.
Okay.
I'm writing out. I'm gonna do half notes for this. I'm just talking to myself here.
Okay.
But to keep it all on one line. All right. So now, first of all, you're gonna give me the key, aren't you?
Yep. We're going to, since this has been the key for today. Thank you, James. We're going to be in. Let's just say G.
G major.
And you can sing the tonic note, right?
The tonic note?
Yes.
The bass line, you mean? Or
Well.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah.
It actually helps to sing a little bit.
Yeah, it does.
Believe it or not, it actually does. It helps engage your ears, so.
That's my starting note
Yeah.
on the bass.
All right. So here we go.
Okay. All right. Interesting. I may have gotten something wrong here.
That's entirely possible.
Okay. So, in the bass line, what I thought I heard was 1 and up to 4.
Let's see. See if I remember what I did. Definitely went up. But
I think, okay. That's what I did wrong. I think we're just walking up the scale. That's what I think is going on.
Be careful.
1, and then a 2, and then 3, 4. Uh-oh. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a sharp 4.
That's a sharp 4.
And that wants to go up, resolve up to the 5.
Yep.
Okay.
And then we jumped back down,
and
right?
then back down to 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, that sharp 4 is tricky, huh?
Yes, it is.
It
is.
So, it can be helpful to listen to, how strongly is that wanting to pull to 5, right?
Yeah.
Because regular 4, it wants to pull there.
Yep.
But not nearly as strongly as. Right?
Yeah.
All right.
Now let me ask you this: did you plan on giving me the soprano note as well, or am I just supposed to get that in my head for the first chord? Let me try.
I can give you the soprano note, but let's see if you can guess.
Okay. I can't see that high, but there it is. And if I try to count down to 3, 2, 1,
very nice.
then it works because that's a 3. That's a third.
That's the third. That is scale degree 3. Very nice. And I love the way you got there and figured that out. That is exactly. Sing down to tonic anytime you're not sure what a note is. Right? So let's do this again.
Okay. Okay. I feel like it ended on 1. I feel like the soprano ended on 1.
I feel like that too.
Which is going to be a G.
Yes, it is.
I'm going to stick that. It sounds like maybe it just kind of walked down the scale. So We started off on, maybe not actually. We started off on the 3rd, and then it walked down to 2, and then it went down to 1, and then something funny happened here. Can you play it from this point on? It stayed where it was, and went back down to the 3rd of the chord.
What way is it going after that?
1.
Yeah. So this was...
Oh, well, it goes to the 1 chord, but it actually resolved up to the 1 of the scale, the tonic.
Yep. You're right about that. It resolved up to the tonic. So 3, 2, 1. Yeah. Stayed where it is. And then down, right? And then back up.
Very good, very good.
So
it goes B, and then down to A, and then down to G, and then it stays on G. Leading down. That's the F sharp going up to G. Okay. I got the soprano part, right?
So now it's time to start thinking about chords.
Okay.
Right? Start time to engage our theory brain a little bit.
And I'm going to start sketching ideas that I have here.
Okay.
As we go.
So here we go.
Starting on the tonic. 1. Okay. Here's what my theory brain came up with.
All right.
1. And then a 5 chord.
In what inversion?
A 5 chord, well, if I'm in the key of G, the 5 chord is D. F sharp would be first inversion. A would be second inversion.
So second inversion.
So so we got 1, 5, and second inversion. No crunchy, no sevenths. I'm not hearing any sevenths.
No.
And then back to 1 in first inversion.
In first inversion with the B in the bass, yeah.
And then next up is where my ears perked up and my eyebrows raised.
Ah, yeah.
Because we had that sharp 4 in the bass. And all of a sudden we have an accidental here. A tendency tone that might not have been there before.
Right.
And then it resolves to what flat out sounds like a 5 chord to me.
Yeah.
And then to 1. Now, I don't even think that was a 5/7 of 5. Or unless I wasn't paying attention.
Well, engage your theory brain a little bit. Check out that G in the melody.
Yeah, okay, yeah, no, you're right. There's a tendency for sure.
Sounds like it. So our final answer?
1, 5, 6, 4. And then 1, 6. And then 5/7 of 5. And then 5. And then 1.
Very nice.
Great. Beautiful. So there's an example with a 5 of 5, 5/7 of 5 even.
5/7 of 5, yeah. 5/6, 5/6/5 of 5 even.
Right.
So,
Because it was in an inversion.
Yeah, and this is the confirmation/analysis point. You know, in the last couple of listens, you're fixing all those little details.
Right. Because on my paper I called it a 5/7, but if I look at this chord, I clearly see where there's it's not the 5th of the scale that's in the bass here. Right.
Yeah.
It's that A sharp, which is just crazy.
Well, it's C sharp, but yeah.
C sharp. Yeah, my bad.
And not that crazy. It's just in first inversion.
Yeah. Well, great. Okay, so let's do another one, shall we?
All right. So we'll be in. Shall we be in a minor key this time?
I would love that.
Let's be in A minor.
Okay. I feel like I'm in A minor now.
Good job.
There's my A.
Okay. Ready?
My tonic. Okay.
Here we go. Here we go.
Okay, I think I got something here.
All right, let's hear it.
We're starting off on the top and the bass. We're doing the bass first, like we said.
Yeah.
A, I got a 1 up to a 5. And then it went up, but it went a little bit more than I expected in a minor key, so I'm going to call that a sharp 6. Or a natural 6, I guess. Did I put a natural?
Sharp 6.
Sharp 6, okay, because we're just in A minor. Okay.
Yeah. Raise 6. Melodic minor.
Yes. Yeah. And then for the next chord, it sounds like it held that position.
Yeah.
And then down to the 5. And then way down to the 1.
So, 1, 5, sharp 6. Sharp 6 again. And then 5. And then 1.
Now, here's something kind of cool. Using my theory... Actually, no, let's do the soprano first before I get into my theory. I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yes, we are. So let's do the soprano.
Okay.
Ready?
Let me hear the chord. Nope, it can't walk down to 1.
So we're probably on 1.
Yeah, and it didn't feel 5-y, so yeah. I'm going to call that an A note.
Yeah, good plan.
Okay, hit me.
All right, here we go. What did I do? Oh, yeah.
Wow, that's tough, man. That is a tougher one. Can we hear it again?
Yep.
I'm going to cheat. Get a few extra listens. Because I was trying to sing along. Let me try and sing at what I heard and how it didn't work, okay? See? It's weird. Okay. There's certainly one that I'm not sure what the hell's going on, but let me try and use my theory brain to get me through the chord, what I think is the chord progression.
Okay.
And then I'm going to see what's going on with that soprano note. Okay. So if we play it again, I think what we're dealing with is, and I'm not going to use inversions just yet. I just want to use my sonic, what I'm perceiving sonically here.
Okay. Good plan.
Tension levels, dissonance levels, whatever.
Okay.
So the 1 chord, we start off on 1.
Are we doing the melody?
Yeah, but I want to hear the chords with it if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
So I'm hearing, what I think I'm hearing is 1 to 7, back up to, or then maybe it stays on 7. That's the one in question.
Yeah. So what actually happened was...
Oh, no, I got it. It is actually going to be a sharp 2.
It is actually going to be a sharp 2.
Yeah. Okay, and then it goes up to 3.
Will the sharp 2 go to 3 or the sharp...
A sharp 2 would actually want to go to...
It's not a sharp 2, sorry.
Oh, really? It's just a 2.
Well, it's not just a 2.
I'm a bit lost here.
Think about this. All right, so we're on... Yeah. So if our tonic is...
So we're just on sharp 1.
Yeah, we're just on sharp 1.
Craziness. Okay. I'm going to try and edit that where I can make that work. Okay, sharp 1. Which makes sense. Okay. Because then it goes up to 2.
Yeah, and then, yeah.
And then 3.
Up to 2.
Oh, and then it stays on 2.
Yep.
And then down to 1. I'm not going to edit that. I'm going to keep that process in there, I think.
All right.
Because that was weird.
Yeah.
Because I thought it actually went up considerably more than it did when it was just 1. I guess the space I heard was between the leading tone and the sharp 1.
It was indeed.
That's what was going on.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's confusing.
Okay. So there's the soprano line. I got it all scripted out. Now let's hear it again. I'm going to try and tell you, like I said, what I think is the chord progression.
Okay.
Just listening sonically, no inversions just yet. I'm going to use my theory brain later on to figure out the inversions.
Okay.
All right, hit me. I'm feeling like this is a 1 chord. And 5. And this is going to be a 5 of 6. 5 of 2. 5 of 2.
Going to...
Which is a nice minor chord, no 7ths. That's going to be a 2 chord.
Which then itself leads to...
Which I think is a 5, because that's where it wants to go.
And then back to...
1.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Now,
That was a hard one. That's not a particularly good chord progression. I think I found a couple of parallel octaves at some point.
again, we're not judging your counterpoint here.
Yeah,
But can't that also contribute to being harder for me to hear what's going on, or no?
Oh, absolutely. It can.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely it can. And the unresolved leading tone is kind of, I mean, it gets resolved eventually. But that can be pretty hairy too. So that was a tough chord progression. So good job.
No kidding. Thank you. Well, and let's just talk about finally what I think are the inversions.
Okay.
The first chord, we started off with A. We're in the key of A minor. We have an A in the note. That's
root position.
Root position 1. Then we jump up to the 5th of the scale, so that's the root position 5.
Yep.
And then we jump down, and then we jump up to a sharp 6. Now, this is actually the scale degree 6. So that's the root of the 6th chord. So it's a root position 5 of 2.
Root position 5 of 2. Yeah.
Because it is the 6th diatonic chord, but for our purposes, it is the 5 of 2, right?
Yeah.
Because we sharpen,
Yeah.
raised it.
We've created we've created a 5 of 2 chord.
Now, next in the bass, we walk it up to, if we're in the key of A minor, 2 chord is going to be a B diminished chord. So this is and D is in the bass. So we're looking at a B, a 2. Wait a minute. Wait. Yeah. First inversion. Okay. And then back down to that 5th scale degree to the 5 chord. So that's the root position 5/7 chord. Because I hear crunchiness. Little crunchiness. No.
Maybe not.
No crunchiness. No 7. No 7 for you. And then back down to 1. Okay, so you went kind of easy on the inversions on this one, didn't
I went
you?
kind of easy on the inversions, but that's kind of why my chord progression sucked a little bit.
Hey, interesting. Okay, how are we doing, man? Should we just do one more or 2 more?
Let's do one more.
Let's do one more, okay?
I want to do one, and I want to be back in our key of G.
And you want to throw some inversions at me?
And I want to throw some inversions at you.
Well, since we're just doing one more, let's make it a mega. No, not too mega. Not too crazy.
Not too crazy, but slightly mega.
Slightly mega.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Right.
And now we've so far we've covered a 5 of 2. We've covered a 5 of 5. We covered that. So this could be any. This could
be all sorts of stuff.
Oh God. Okay.
All right.
Key of G.
Key of G.
G major.
Good old G major.
There's my 1.
Sorry. We're in G major.
Lovely.
All right.
There's my starting note. And for the listeners, I'm not going to sing along this time. I'm going to let you guys actually sing along. I'm going to try and sing in my head, which is going to be very difficult.
Yeah, which is what we try to ask students to do.
Yep.
Sometimes when you're giving tests like this, there's a little buzz of people silently humming to themselves out there. And we try to say, okay, hum as silently as possible. Yeah. All right, here we go. Okay.
Something's happening. Something happened.
All right. Let's see.
All right. Now, I got lost in the 3rd measure, but I think what I'm hearing so far. You want to go ahead and play it while I sing the scale degree?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. Major key, tonic. Starting off on the G tonic. 1, there's a G. Next, we go up to a 5, which is the D note. 5. And then next. Up 1, which this has everything I need from a deceptive cadence. I hear the makings of a deceptive cadence.
Absolutely.
So that's a 6. And then next, this is when something funny happens.
Yeah, we'll just concentrate on the bass for start off.
Yeah. Same note.
Same note.
I'm cool with that.
And then where does it go?
That's interesting. Okay, it sounds like a resolution. It sounds like a 5-to-1 kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it might not be a 5-to-1 because if this thing resolves up to a fourth, we end on G.
Uh-huh.
Which actually is in the 1 chord.
Well, is E up to G a 1 chord, a fourth? Is E up to G a
No,
fourth?
that's an A. That's an A. I didn't read that right.
Yeah.
I cannot read music. Oh my god. Okay, so okay. So we had that going up to an A note. So we heard a 5-1 resolution.
Mm-hmm.
But then it was followed.
Just kind of the wrong one, right?
Yeah, just kind of the wrong one.
Followed by the right one, hopefully.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yep. And then up to the tonic.
And ending on this the tonic an octave up from the one we started on, right?
Right, yeah. Because sometimes an octave up kind of changes the flavor a bit, but not really the sonic differences.
Right, yeah. Not
tension
really
levels.
The tension levels and the harmonic function doesn't change because of the octave, right?
Okay.
It's still tonic. It still feels like finality.
Okay, well, if I ran into problems there's a good chance some other people might have too.
Oh, absolutely. These are hard chord progressions. I'll be the first to admit this is not baby stuff.
So in the interest of this being the last one that we do, we're gonna dig really deep, okay?
Okay.
So what I'm hearing, let's play it again for that bass line if you don't mind.
All right.
Just now that I think I know what I'm doing, I'm hearing a 1, then up to 5, and then up to 6. Still staying on that 6th note. And then this bass goes up a fourth.
To A.
Mm-hmm. And then down to a D, down to the 5. 5th scale degree?
Yeah.
And then back up to the 1, the G. G. Okay, was that right?
That was pretty good.
Great. Okay, now let's listen to that soprano.
All right, let's listen to that soprano.
If I can find it. Uh-oh.
Scale degree 3.
Yes, 3. Okay, so in the key of G, scale degree 3 is a B note.
Yep.
So I'm going to start off right there, putting it on my paper, in pencil, of course.
Always in pencil.
Of course. Hit me. So let's hear that soprano note then. Let's see what's going on.
Hear that soprano note.
I'm gonna sing it an octave lower. B is the 3rd.
Yep.
Da, da, da. So we're on the 3rd. Okay.
We're on a 3rd.
Which is B in the key of G.
Mm-hmm.
3, 2, 1. Okay, I got the bass line, I got the soprano line. And that soprano line again was 3, 2, 1, sharp 1 to 2. Leading tone up to 2. Stays where it's at, and then back down to the 1.
Sounds good.
Okay, great. Time to engage that theory brain.
Time to engage that theory brain.
So this time I'm going to give my 3rd listen, or however many hundreds of listens.
hundreds of listens.
This has been so far. I edited out 1 or 2 of them. I'm sure I'm going to edit 1 or 2. Okay, so 3rd listen, theory brain. Engage.
Theory brain.
Engage. Major. There's your 1, of course. I feeling like a 5. Maybe a 5/7.
Maybe a 5/7.
Crunchy. Unmistakable deceptive cadence.
Pretty unmistakable deceptive cadence.
Minor 6. In the
Minor
key of G.
6.
Now this is where I'm tripping out because what happened was the 3rd of that minor chord went up to the 3rd and made it a major chord. It went up a half step.
So we made our 6th major, and we've already discussed what it becomes at that point.
If we are in a minor key, if we are in a major key and we experience a major 6 chord, likely that's going to be a 5 of something. right?
Well, there's such thing as borrowed chords, but in this context,
right. Okay, we'll talk. That'll be another one down the road, right?
Uh-huh.
In this context, I would assume, based on what we discussed, that to be a 5 of 2, right?
especially since it's going to what chord? Except that.
Ooh, okay. Yes, it was a 5 of 2, and it went to 2, but it was a major 2.
Which was...
Oh, Lord, that's a 5 of 5. Lord.
Which then goes to...
Which goes to 5.
It goes to 5.
Naturally.
Yeah, and now we're kind of headed home. Back to 1.
Back to 1.
Yeah.
Wow, dude.
So, yeah. So, to recap then.
Okay, God. 1. 5, 7. Root position. 6. Root position. 5 of 2.
5
root
of
position.
2. 5 of...
But instead of going to minor, we went to major.
Yeah, 5 of 5.
Therefore, it is a 5 of 5. And that is actually in, second inversion.
I think it's just a 5 of 5.
Is it just a 5 of 5?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm probably getting all my notes confused.
Yeah,
here.
probably.
And then down to 5. And then up to 1. Man.
Beautiful, isn't it?
Something
So,
else.
yeah. So 1, 5, 7, 6, 5 of 2, 5 of 5, 5, 1. All in root position, I do believe.
Yeah.
I'm not with the inversions today.
Yeah, no kidding.
I guess I could have, a good place to have done one would have been, and then just continue to hang out on that E, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I should have done that.
And
But
then-
yeah, that would have made it a 5 of 2 going to a 5, 6, 4, 5 to 5 to... Yeah. I think one thing we talked about over email with James at one point was how you could sort of just do this and stay on the same note in the bass, just with this other
That pedal tone.
yeah,
Kinda
that
like a
pedal tone and
effect.
readjusting the chord, the inversions over it.
Yeah.
For some of these, that's pretty cool.
Well, we didn't inundate you with theory, but maybe your ears, maybe you still feel like cream corn in between your 2 ears right now.
This is harder to me. And kudos to Jeremy and kudos to you guys for sticking with it. Because look, nobody thinks this is easy. I don't think this is not baby stuff.
No.
We totally get that. It's in terms of theory, in terms of harmonic progression and ear training, especially. This is we are not in Kansas anymore. This is definitely upper intermediate stuff.
And I'm going to continue to re-listen to this podcast, so by the time we get to our next ear training episode, I'll be that much better.
And I need to find a podcast on keyboard skills so I can actually play some of these chord progressions.
Oh, no kidding, man.
but
That's
there you go.
that's pretty crazy stuff.
It's crazy stuff. But just imagine if you got good enough that you could hear this kind of harmonies and things.
That's my holy grail.
Yeah.
One of my many musical holy grails.
Yeah. I mean, if you can even moderately kind of sort of pick out something as chromatic as this, then, music where people are just doing 1, 4, 5, you're going to know it immediately, right? It's going to be peanuts to you. It's going to just hit you as, well, that's obviously 1, 4, 5.
Yeah.
Or 3, 6, 2, 5, 1, which is a classic jazz turnaround. It's going to hit you. That's obviously what it is.
Yeah.
And now you're at a point where you're understanding music on a level that people who don't invest this much time and effort in it are not understanding it, right?
Right.
Now you're becoming a musician. Now you're becoming someone who knows their craft.
You're on the inside.
You're on the
You
inside.
stepped inside the circle.
And
Circle of fifths.
Yeah, it's nice and warm, and we have cookies.
All right, man. Oh, on that note, I guess as a recap, I would just recommend go back and listen to the exercises.
Just go back and listen to those. Do your own. Go to teoria.com, which is a great resource. Go invest in McGammett, which is a great resource.
Better ears.
And let us know how you're doing.
Yeah. Thanks again, guys. Catch you next time.
Good luck.
We hope you've enjoyed this ear training episode. Keep on listening to keep those ears sharp. And we'd love to listen to your music. So be like James Church and send it our way.